Hi, I'm Bruce Dickinson, and you're listening to 89 FM, the Radio Rock.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I am so pleased to be back in Brazil. It's going to be brilliant.
Yes. So just let me to introduce. My name is Fernanda Soldateli. I'm from 89 FM, the Radio Rock here in Brazil. I have some questions for you. Can we start?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So you're coming with the Mandrake Project tour here in Brazil, and I want to know what the fans can expect from it.
Well, obviously, there's going to be I think it's going to be a lot of great music, an incredible band. I've got two guitar players. I've got Mysteria, who is the world's craziest keyboard player. Dave Moreno, who played on, all my albums. Mysteria, who played on all my albums recently. And the amazing Tanya O'Callahan on the bass guitar. And then, of course, there's me. We're going to be doing, well, basically a bit of everything because it's been a while since I've played in Brazil. So if I didn't play Tears of the Dragon, people would be very disappointed. We're doing stuff from Balls to Picasso, Accident of Birth, Chemical Wedding, Tyranny of Souls, and four songs off the new album. So that means there's an awful lot of songs from other albums. So I don't want to give too much away, but it's all obviously now everything's on the internet. But the shows will change around a little bit, So as we go through, the show in Porto Alegre, for example, is not going to be the same as the show in Curitiba. We're going to sneak in a few different tunes.
Yes, for sure will be fantastic. I am pretty sure about it. And you, like you said, you have been to Brazil before, and you talked with us in Comic Con Experience 2023. And I
Yeah.
want to know what is your favorite thing about being Brazil?
Well, they keep asking me back. I mean, I can't help it, but Brazil's like, oh, would you like to come to Brazil and do Comic Con? I'm like, yeah, that would be cool, because I do have a comic coming out.
Yes.
Um, I turn up and do Comic Con, and then the next thing, I'm turning up and doing a show and, solo shows. And then, of course, at the end of the year, I'm back with Maiden, doing the two shows in Sao Paulo, and they're the only shows that Maiden's going to do this year. So, basically, that's it. So the Sao Paulo, and that's it for Brazil with Maiden. So, if you want to come and see me in Brasilia or Ribeirão Preto, it's the only chance you're going to get.
And talking about the comic books that are also named in the Mandrake Project, you said in an interview that we can maybe expect some album later. The series of the comic book is out, and I want to know if is there any song that you left behind this first album that maybe was not the very interesting ones, but you keep them for maybe another project.
Um, there is quite a lot of material left over that we didn't develop. We had no time to develop it, and we looked at what we had, and we went, you know what, this is good. Let's just work with what we've got right now, because the other stuff we can develop it later. We can talk about it later. But the album has done amazingly well. The tour is doing incredible in Europe. I mean, most of the shows are sold out in Europe, which is fantastic. Um, and the album chart positions are incredible as well. We were number one in Germany, number one in Sweden, and two in most other places. The number three in the UK. I mean, all this stuff is great. I mean, because if you look, Priest, Judas Priest, for example, had a load of success with their new record, which is great. Um, but they've been around for how long? And they've got like how many followers on Instagram and millions of stuff. I mean, I only started my Instagram page like 6 months ago, right? So
Yeah.
so for me to get those kind of results really means a lot, and it means that the record has really connected with people, that they really feel that connection. So it's great.
And there is any song that was more difficult to write or have a special meaning for you?
I think the song that is the most extraordinary song on the album is actually the one that we're not playing live um, this time, which is Sonata, which is the last track. It's really something I've never done anything like that in any of my other work with Maiden or with solo stuff. So it's that emotionally that song is amazing, and the way that the song was made, the way it was created, was also pretty special because it's the closest thing to going into the studio and almost going into a trance and just singing the first things that come into your head, and then realizing that it all fits together and works. It's really uh, uh, amazing, and that's the oldest song on the record.
Yeah, and why your guys are not playing this live?
Because when I do it, I've got plans. I've got plans for it. I don't want to. I don't want to sort of jeopardize them by doing it too early. Because I think I mean, the one of the other biggest songs on the record is "Shadow of the Gods." "Shadow of the Gods" is awesomeness. I mean, incredible. I'm not playing "If Eternity Should Fail" because obviously it's uh Maiden fans would know it straight away. But I'm going to leave those for next time around.
Do you have something planned or something in mind for
Oh,
these musics?
uh, yeah. Well, I always have things in mind, but whether or not they work out, that's another question. But
Okay.
certainly in in an ideal world, then uh, if we made uh, a follow up to this, then that would be a great opportunity to dig deeper into the album as we go out and promote the follow up. But anyway, that's in the future. I want to try and live. What I'm doing right now is I'm in Curitiba, and that's what I'm doing.
For sure. And I want to know what is the main influence musically for this album?
Oh my god, there isn't one. I mean,
Really?
no, the main influence musically. There's not one influence I could point to. There's dozens of influences. Everything from like early Black Sabbath to Johnny Cash to, I mean, it's all over the place. Like a bit of early Peter Gabriel, bit of Priest, Sabbath, a little bit of Purple feel in there every now and again. I mean, some stoner rock stuff, space rock, Hawkwind. I mean, honestly, the album has got loads of things. Quentin
There.
Tarantino, you know,
It's a real mix of
it's a real mix.
everything.
Yeah,
That's perfect. And you wrote this album and produced it with Royal Z, am I right?
yeah,
And he's not along with you in this tour, unfortunately. But how was working with him?
yeah. I mean, Z and I go back, oh, 30 years, just
Oh
about.
my God.
Yeah, yeah. We go back 30 years when we first started working together. Um, and we produced some amazing stuff. I think Chemical Wedding was an incredible album, groundbreaking stuff. But his the contribution he made on Balls to Picasso, and obviously Accident of Birth was a great record too. Tyranny of Souls, terrific record that we didn't really get much of a chance to promote. Um, but now, of course, with me going out on tour, it's a little bit difficult for Roy because you know this is a long, long, long tour, and he has had a few health issues, which he's getting better with as well. But also, I'm remixing all the records that we did, and we're putting some additional bits. So he's kind of basically hanging out in the studio, and I'm going out on the road, doing it. And I've got these two amazing guitar players
Yeah.
with me. Chris de Klerk, who actually played on the record. So he played the solo in Rain on the Grave. And I went, well, yeah, I'll take him then. And Philip Naslund, who's a friend of my son's, Austin, and he's a Swedish songwriter, producer, guitarist, you know. So yeah, those I've got, you know, it takes two guitarists to replace Roy.
Yes. And like you said, you are in Curitiba right now. Did you have time to visit any place?
I didn't get here till 3 o'clock. Are you kidding me?
Okay. Do you will have time to visit any place?
No, tonight I'm mainly going to be visiting. I'm going to go and have a beer, and I'm mainly going to visit my bed. That's my plan, because it was an overnight flight from you know from Mexico, and it was pretty chaotic. You know, we nearly didn't make the flight because there was a torrential rain and there was a huge flood. The whole city like flooded, and nobody could get to the airport. But we got there in the end.
Okay. And lastly, I want to know, what is your next steps?
My next steps are going to be getting my fencing kit polished up and sharpening my épée for the duel tomorrow with the guy at just after midday when the sun is high in the sky, like high noon.
It was a pleasure talking to you, Bruce. Thank you so much.
Brilliant.
And you're always welcome.
Yeah, I'll see you in Sao Paulo.
Yes, please come to the 89 FM, the Radio Rock. You're always welcome here.
Yeah, all right.
89, a Rádio Rock.